What does James Gardner, the Dragon Lady, Mike Randall, and these two cats have in common with this rare one-owner Hurst SC Rambler? Well, watch to the end for the story behind this unique car and learn about its fascinating history. In 1969, John McKee from Arizona, when he was just 18 years old, saved up $400 to put a down payment on the muscle car of his dreams. He special ordered a 1970 Mustang Fastback, but the day before he was scheduled to take delivery of his new Mustang, he stopped by the dealer and discovered that the dealer had inadvertently sold the car to somebody else. I think the term inadvertently sold may be dealer code for someone offered us more money for the car. But anyway, after getting over his initial disappointment and getting his deposit back, he set out on a new quest for a replacement muscle car. John remembers driving by the Randall AMC Rambler Jeep dealer. Yes, this is the same dealer who then was gaining notoriety for their AMC performance mods, their racing programs, and who would later build the 401 XR Gremlins. What caught John's eye was this outrageous red, white, and blue car. He had to stop in for a better look. See, John had no time to waste. He had joined the Navy and was scheduled to deploy departing Point Loma Naval Base in San Diego, California, heading to the Vietnam War. John wasted no time, went into the dealer, met with the general sales manager, Steve Brown, and began to pick out his new vehicle. These crazy red, white, and blue cars were called the Hurst SC Rambler, the SC standing for supercar. But if you looked at the badges quickly, it looked like it said Scrambler, so the nickname stuck. They're also called the AMC Scramblers. These Scramblers came in two different paint schemes seen here. The one on the right is paint scheme B, mostly white with smaller red and blue stripes going down the sides. And paint scheme A, shown on the left, has a thicker red stripe going down the side with blue stripes going down the middle of the car. The Randalls had two brand new paint scheme Bs in stock and one paint scheme A, but the paint scheme A had 3,000 miles on it. John had to have paint scheme A. Steve Brown informed him that the vehicle had been lent out to a magazine for performance testing. However, they installed a brand new 390 motor, but this meant that the car was no longer a numbers matching car. It had also been involved in a small fender bender. Apparently, Mike Randall, also 18 at the time, was driving John's car when it was in dealer inventory. The back end got out from underneath him, kissing the right rear fender against another car. John told me years later he had met Mike Randall and asked him about this. Mike, with a smirk on his face, replied, "I don't think I recall that ever happening." But when John was restoring the car, the vehicle was stripped down to bare metal, and voila, there was body filter found on the right rear quarter panel. There's a thin black pinstripe that goes around the thick red stripe going down the side of the vehicle. After the red stripe was repainted, as luck would have it, John ended up hiring the same pinstriper, unknowingly to John, that had pinstriped the vehicle after the repairs were done in 1969. The pinstriper was able to confirm the story of Mike Randall and the fender bender with this SC Rambler. In 2018, John's car was selected by Hemmings Muscle Machine magazine for the car of the year. Here's John's Scrambler at the Good Guys Car Show in Scottsdale, Arizona in 2024. While John was in the Navy, he continued to scrape together enough money to make the payments, and we're sure glad he did. This one-owner Scrambler made more than a few trips back and forth from Phoenix to San Diego during John's Navy days. He did a perfect restoration on the car and even has a notebook with photos, the build sheet, the original buyer's order, and all the documentation showing that this is a one-owner vehicle. But during the restoration, he learned a few more interesting things about this car that makes it even more unique than any average SC Scrambler, if you can call any of these cars average at all. But before we get into that, let me take you through what makes these SC Scramblers so special. These cars were purposely built to leave the dealership and be able to compete in the National Hot Rod Racing Association, or NHRA's, F-Stock category. AMC sent these cars to Hurst Performance Centers to have some additional upgrades performed. Besides the special schemes, it came with a close ratio T10 4-speed manual transmission with the Hurst T-handle and the Hurst linkage, dual exhaust system with special thrust mufflers, a functional hood scoop with a vacuum actuator for cold air induction, twin grip limited differential with 3.5-to-1 axle ratio. The differential was also equipped with special torque links and bracing to help keep that massive 390 engine from breaking the differential right out of the chassis. Also, heavy-duty sway bars, heavy-duty springs and shocks with a high-capacity radiator, a 20-to-1 steering ratio, power front disc brakes, 2 hood tie-down locks with safety pins, custom teardrop racing mirrors, custom front grille, Hurst SC Rambler emblems, blue Magnum 14 by 6 inch wheels, sports steering wheel, red, white, and blue headrests, and the SunTac that is held on to the steering column with just a large hose clamp. The car weighed 2,998 pounds, which coincidentally is how much the car sold for. I have crunched the numbers for you and have determined that this car sold for a mere $1 a pound. This, a lightweight, economic car, came with the Performance 390 V8 from the mighty AMX. The engine produced 315 horsepower and 425 foot-pounds of torque and was capable of a 14.3-second quarter mile right off the showroom floor. If 14.3 seconds wasn't fast enough, AMC provided its dealers with a performance catalog called Group 19. In it, you can find parts such as differential gearing, high-performance camshafts, dual quad intake manifold and carburetor setups, and ignition systems. With a few of these bolt-on parts, it was known that the SC Ramblers could easily get into the 12-second quarter-mile range. To be able to run the F-Stock category for the NHRA, each manufacturer had to build at least 500 vehicles for sale to the general public. But after the initial 500 run of production sold out, AMC decided to build a few more. They ended up producing, 1 year only in 1969, a total of 1,594 vehicles, with 1,297 of them being the A paint scheme and 297 of them the B paint scheme. Nobody really seems to know for sure why the two different paint schemes. The theory that makes the most sense to me is that Hertz needed to speed up the production due to such high demand. They ended up switching to a simpler B paint scheme whenever they fell behind production in order to speed things up. Out of these 1,594 cars produced, Only about 360 have been registered with American Motors. That means that there's roughly 1,200 SC Ramblers that are sitting in garages, junkyards, or being used as daily drivers that have yet to be registered. As it turns out, John's car was just not sent to a magazine for the writers to test. This car was one of the first 10 produced, and it was sent to Carcraft magazine to be tested by the first woman to win an NHRA national event and the first woman to be inducted into the Drag Racing Hall of Fame, Shirley Shahan.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Shirley was also known as the Dragon Lady or Drag On Lady, depending on which side of the Mississippi you grew up on. The Dragon Lady, also a mother of 3, I'm not sure if the kids gave her that nickname or not, with her husband H.L. ran a performance shop in Tulare, California. From 1966 to 1970, AMC sponsored them and provided cars and parts. They ran the Superstock and Pro Stock divisions. The Dragon Lady did not leave any revs on the table when she was testing John's Scrambler. That explains the need to install a new 390 V8. Cool stuff. But wait, there's more. There's a whole story around the hood scoop that's on John's car. Most of the AC Ramblers had the word air on top of the hood scoop. I thought for years this was just some sort of 60s type laughing spoof. You know, like, yeah, you dummy, that's where the air goes in. Well, as it turns out, AIR stands for American International Racing. Someone else had a sponsorship deal with AMC, the actor James Garner, who was better known as Maverick or James Rockford in the Rockford Files. James Scott Garner became obsessed with racing after starring in the 1966 movie called Grand Prix. Shortly after this, he started his own racing team called, you guessed it, American International Racing, or AIR. James Garner's team just didn't race any old races. They raced the most difficult endurance races like the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, and the endurance desert races like the Mint 400 and the Baja 1000. In 1969, American Motors gave the American International Racing Team 10 SC Ramblers to go race the Baja 1000 in a class called the sedan class, believe it or not. 2 of these SC Ramblers were converted to 4-wheel drive, and out of the 10 entries, they finished 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 13th. The others didn't complete the race. That explains the origin of the AIR decal on the hood scoop. But if you notice on John's car, that logo is missing, was not installed. There was something else that was not installed. The vacuum actuator door inside the hood was never installed. It turns out that out of the 10 early production vehicles that went to magazines for testing, 2 of them did not have the AIR logo and did not have the vacuum actuated door on the hood scoop. This is making John's car one of only 2 produced this way. As I was making this video, I came home from work to find one day that my wife had adopted these 2 rescue cats from the Foothills Animal Shelter in Scottsdale, Arizona. The Foothills Animal Shelter is a no-kill shelter, and they can sure use your help. I'll leave a link in the description below. They are sisters from the same litter, and as you may have noticed, they have a paint scheme A and a paint scheme B. I decided to call the cats Cat A and Cat B, but my wife's not into it. She doesn't think it's funny. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think we should name our 2 additions to the family. and please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.
Goodbye! Okay, I'm good.